Most will know you as a Team USA gold medalist, a world champion. But if we really wanted to get to know Callie, what should we know about you?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things right now that's happening in my life is that I'm a member of the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association. And so I think, we always talk about, there's this dream gap. And so I think kind of just going off of that is that, right now for women's professional ice hockey, there's really not a landscape that allows players to, play hockey full time and be able to make a living wage out of that. And so I think for us, we've all been together as a PWHPA. And so I think, it's definitely there's this sense of uncertainty because we don't know exactly what the future holds, but we all know we have this one common belief, and that's our fight for one single sustainable league that is competitive, it's inclusive, and it's the best women in the world that are playing against each other, and that's our common goal. So I would say that that's like the biggest thing.
And your lifelong dream was to win an Olympic gold medal, but you shared how when you were 17 years old, you didn't make the USA U18 team. And that was really disappointing for you. But you shared that it was the best thing that happened to you. Why?
Yeah, so when I was 17, it's kind of making the U18 team is kind of like that first step towards making the national team. It's like that the beginning of the path of development in the girls' side. And so I think for me, like when growing up, I always was like, oh, I need to make the U18 team. It wasn't like I want to. It was like I need to make it, and if I don't make it, then I don't know, like if I'm ever going to be able to make Team USA. Like that seemed like that first logical step. And so I think being 16, 17 years old, it kind of just seems like, this big, huge thing. And so I think when I didn't make that team at the time, it was, felt like the end of the world because it was everything that I had been hoping for and working towards. But so it kind of took me like, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks to kind of realize like, I have to just make a decision. It helped to show me that I had a little bit more to go. I wasn't quite there yet. And I had to decide whether or not I was going to be mature enough to get better, realize I need to get better, and then do the work to get better. And so I think I decided in that moment that, you know what, I'm not going to let this define me. I'm going to let it motivate me instead. And yeah, like you said, it was kind of the best thing that happened to me because it showed me that I had work to do. And it kind of put a chip on my shoulder and fueled me forward. So
And most women have to hang up their skates after their college careers, and you yourself have had to work other jobs to be able to provide for yourself. How do you stay motivated to pursue your dreams of playing professionally in this sport despite it being so hard for women in this sport?
yeah, it's really hard. And I think, like you said, like there's way too many girls that give up the sport too soon because there isn't a sustainable option for them. And so I think for me, the biggest thing for me is that I've had the support. The support around me has been incredible my whole life. My dad, I'm fortunate enough that my dad owns an ice hockey rink, so I've had that in my corner. And so I think, but for me, the biggest thing I think is that, and a lot of the girls in the PWHPA will say this as well, is that we're really fighting for that next generation of girls coming up. And so wanting more for them and wanting better for them and knowing, that in their hearts, they all want to play professional women's ice hockey one day. And so being able to keep pushing this conversation forward and keep pushing this movement forward and hopefully getting to that end goal of having that one sustainable league is really what drives me every day.
And for most of your life, you played on all boys teams, but you are the first female coach in the USPHL. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it means a lot to me. When my dad first, so my dad's the head coach of the team that I'm the assistant coach of. And so when my dad first kind of proposed to me, do you want to be a part of this? Do you want to help coach with me? And it kind of was like, you know, it wasn't, there was no hesitation on his end. And so for me, I kind of was like, why not? And so I think kind of like what I said to you earlier about how men coach women all the time. And so I think that for us, trying to put out there, and show that girls can coach boys, because why not? I have the resume. And so I think that, like I said, like showing that, giving that presence, and showing girls, if they can see it, they can be it. And so, yeah, it's been awesome for me.
And for the young girls and the women that are looking up to you in this role, do you have a message for them?
Yeah, I would just say that you can do anything that you want. I think that that's kind of, what's motivated me throughout, being in high school, college, the Olympics, and then now, trying to, be part of the PWHPA, and like I said, move this conversation forward. I think, having the confidence to know that you can do anything that you want, I think really, really is important.
And I wanted to touch on your relationship with your dad, who you says owns the ice rink that you work at. You have a tattoo that is in honor of him, that you was inspired by him, and it has the number 16 and the word resilience. Can you share what that word means to you and how he inspired it?
Yeah, so the number 16, stands for, that was his number in college. And so when I was in high school, I was 16, and then I kind of, I went to college and, was on the national team and got away from it a little bit. But so that was his number. It was kind of a number that we shared. And so my dad was really the one that got me into ice hockey, when I was younger, because he had played and he had the rink. And, so I think as I grew up, having that bond with him over hockey, and sharing that number with him, and then the word resilience that I have on my wrist, that's kind of like what he taught me throughout my whole like time growing up, and going into high school, and not making that U18 team, and going through college and the Olympics and all of that. And so I think, having that tattoo for him, it just kind of shows like the bond that we have, and that's why I have it, because it's, it was his hockey number, and then resilience is kind of, what he taught me along the way.
And with that close bond that you just noted, you get to not only work alongside him, but for the game at Madison Square Garden, he will be coaching your team.
Yep.
What is it like to share those experiences with him?
Yeah, it's been awesome. And my dad's been, one of the biggest advocates for women's ice hockey. And throughout my whole career, especially, he was my coach when I was younger, and then obviously I went off to high school and college, and so he's always been my biggest supporter. And so I think for him, he just wants to be able to give back to women's ice hockey any way that he can. Obviously, he's been involved in men's hockey his whole life, and he wants, the women to be able to have exactly what the men have. And so that's his way of giving back. And so being able to share that with him, and, be able to, put, again, like I said, like push this conversation forward, and work together with the PWHPA has been awesome. And this weekend will be really special to have him behind the bench with us.
Looking back on all your experiences, from not making it on the USA U18 team to winning a gold medal to as a coach now, and now making history with the PWHPA, if you look back on your life and you look back at younger Callie, is there any message or anything that you would want to say to her?
I think what I would probably tell my younger self, is kind of what I would tell, any of those other young girls looking up to me, is that if you believe in yourself, you can accomplish anything. And so I know that, like, there are definitely frustrations along the way, and a little bit of uncertainty, and even uncertainty now. But I would just say that, as long as you believe in yourself and you believe in what you're doing, you can accomplish anything. And so I think that that's really just a super important message. And that's probably what I would have told myself when I was younger.
Thank you, Callie. And I'm sure young women and young girls will be inspired by that message everywhere. I wish you nothing but continued success.
Thank you.